Okay, guys, we are live on Facebook. Double check and make sure everything's looking okay here. So I am Heidi Foy, creator of opportunities here at Bullfrog Creatives. I want to welcome you guys to our, week 2, round 5, I believe, of our coaches interviews and college profiles for college rodeo. I'm excited to be able to do this for you guys. It's a little bit different situation this year with the CNFR getting canceled, a lot of high school rodeos getting canceled across the country. I think it's changed a little bit of how we are able to make connections with our rodeo coaches. If you guys are just starting out, a little different for coaches to be able to go to those high school rodeos and do some scouting and recruiting. So we're trying to kind of fill a need. So I want to thank you guys for joining us, and let's just kick it off. So today we have rodeo coach, Mr. CJ Aragon from Sul Ross State University. I want to thank you for joining us today. So we'll start easy. I mean, I think all of them are pretty easy, really. Why don't you, where are you located?
We are in Alpine, Texas, far west Texas. It's kind of down in the mountains in Texas. Not a lot of people realize we have mountains in West Texas, but we do. So we're in between El Paso and San Antonio.
Great. Tell me a little bit about the community you guys are located in.
Well, we're in Alpine, Texas, population 6,000. It's kind of a rural ranching community. There's a lot of history here, especially with college rodeo. The first ever meeting that organized college rodeo was here in Alpine, Texas. Everett D. Turner, my office is in the Everett D. Turner building. He's the man that organized the meeting, and they had it in a local hotel downtown. And that was in 1948, and that's when they actually started the NIRA.
Wow, that's very cool to be part of the history. I didn't know that. Yep. So let's see. Can you talk to me a little bit about what programs your school has? Degree programs?
We have a whole lot of degree programs. A lot of our strengths have to do with the ag programs. We have natural resource management, sustainable ranch management, wildlife management. Our kinesiology program is really good. Our education programs are really good as well. So we have a lot of programs. We have a lot of master's programs as well for students that completed their degrees at another four-year school that want to come down here. We've had quite a few transfers here in the last couple of years to come down here to work on their master's program.
Oh, great. That sounds good. What's your campus life? What's campus life like?
Well, we are actually one of the smallest universities in Texas, if not the smallest state university in Texas. We have 2,000 students. Our average class size is only 16 students. So it's a small school, but you get a university education. I've worked at community colleges that are bigger than this university, and we have universities here in Texas that are over 20 times the size of us. So it's kind of a unique situation where they can come down here and go to a small school in a small town and still get to rodeo and still earn a four-year degree as well.
That's great. It sounds like a good campus. So one of the things that, it may be unique to the school that I went to, but when I went to Northwest College, they kind of had a mandatory incoming freshman had to live on campus. Can you talk to me a little bit about what it would be like for a freshman coming in, where they would live, if there's off campus, on campus, and if there's any requirements for them?
Most freshmen and sophomores are required to live in the dorms. I say most. There are exceptions to everything. If you've got family or relatives here in town, they'll let you live with those. But they do strongly encourage you to live in the dorms your freshman and sophomore year.
Yeah, so I think I've said this in every interview. If it's one thing I regret, that's it. I lived with some friends because we had friends that lived in town, and I just felt like I missed out on a lot of the kind of on-campus stuff by not living in the dorm. So I highly suggest that. Super outside of your comfort zone, but do it. That's where all the growth happens. You don't learn that till later, but do it.
You'll appreciate it later.
Yeah, you will for sure. How about transfer students? You mentioned the dorms. Is there like housing on campus for older students or family housing or anything like that?
We have several types of dorms. We have like traditional dorms where you share the same living space and stuff. And then we have apartment style dorms as well. So we have, a couple different options. The apartment style dorms are more expensive,
Mm-hmm.
but they offer you a lot more privacy. They have individual bedrooms, shared kitchen, living room. And then you have the traditional dorms where you kind of share a bathroom and a living space. So there are several options for the students. Um, then there are a lot of kids, like this year, most of my kids rented houses here in town and stuff. Like I said, it's a small town, 6,000 people, so everything's close to campus. Like, you can drive from one end of town to the other, and it's less than 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's great. So we already talked about different degrees. How about we talk about the good stuff? Let's talk about your rodeo program, CJ. How long have you been coach at Sul Ross now?
This is my second year here at Sul Ross. So
Okay.
we've grown a lot here over the past couple of years. When I took over here, they only had 11 students on the team. We were around 30 this year. We have a great facility. We have a covered arena. We have an outdoor arena that we're rebuilding actually right now in the process of. And we've got a lot of pins for the rough stock. We just put up 40 new stalls this last summer, and we're expecting to put up anywhere between 40 and 60 new stalls this year. So we should have close to 100 stalls this fall for students. They're right on campus. Our stalls are literally 200 yards from our practice arena and within a mile of the main campus. So that's really nice for the students as well. We practice daily. It's hard to find a school where you'll get to practice more than what we do here. We're pretty unique. The university owns a ranch outside of town, 17,000 acres. So we raise our own Corianis and stuff for practice. So we rotate them in and out, but we have that ranch at our disposal. We also kick our bucking horses out there, kind of rotate those. We have a really good partnership with some local stock contractors and Survey, and we get a lot of our bucking horses from them. So we have a lot of really good practice horses available. And then we've got some guys that breed bucking bulls that send us a lot of good practice bulls. We have some really good practice bulls.
Great. You hit on a couple of my questions. So I want to reiterate and make sure I heard you correctly. So you have your own practice facility right there on campus, as well as a place for kids to board horses.
Yep. We have indoor and outdoor arenas. So
okay. Now, is there any cost for the kids to board their horses there?
We normally put that in as part of their scholarships. So
nice.
We do have some students that will have to pay for stalls, because if you don't keep your stalls clean, then we charge you for them, because then we have to go and clean them. So
yeah, somebody's got to do it.
as long as you're keeping your stalls clean, we normally give those stalls to them as part of their scholarship.
Great. So and you talked a little bit about stock. You have your own stock or have access to your own stock. Is that the same with the timed event, all the timed events?
We have a lot of our own timed events stock, because we have our own Coriani herd that we're raising. And then we do lease some of our calves and stuff. And then if we need to get a little bit more stock for the timed events, like this year, we had a guy that provided us with some more steer wrestling steers and stuff. So we did have more stock than, that we do get from outside sources as well.
Okay. And then we've talked a lot about some of the men's events. I assume that you also have access to tying goats and breakaway calves.
We still have all our goats here. We've got about 30 to 40 head of goats. So we have a small goat herd.
That is a relatively small goat herd.
Yeah.
Well, look at this. We have a comment from Tony Branquino, one of the best college rodeo coaches in the nation.
Yeah.
That's what he said. He said that about you.
Oh, thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
Hey, we got some, now this is good. I'm glad to see we've got about 25 viewers live on Facebook. Katie Gibson graduated from Sul Ross in 08 and 10. Great school, she said.
Yep.
So it's always good.
We have a really storied history here at Sul Ross. Mm-hmm. A lot of schools like to brag about being the winningest program in the country. We're arguably the winningest program in the country. We have 9 national team titles and 24 individual titles here.
Oh, wow.
So, there's a lot of history with the alumni and how well they've done over the years. And then since I've been here, they've really come back and supported us. Um, like last year, we had Tuff Hedeman's an alumni here. He came back and he spoke to our students and all the student athletes on campus. He was actually the grand marshal of our homecoming parade last year. I've got bull riders on the team this year that are currently living with Cody Lambert, who's another alumni of Sul Ross, and they're working with him. I'll actually throw a shout out to Kai Hamilton. He's one of our bull riders currently on the team. He's actually ranked third in the world right now. So if they open this all back up, we're hoping that he can qualify for the NFR this year.
Well, and so with that, I mean, it's kind of a direct, goes right into an easy question maybe for you. What is the word for the PRCA rodeos this year? I mean, obviously, they're only going to be able to take what they have been able to attend. Everyone's going to kind of be on the same playing field, but are people nervous? How's it going to change the game this year?
You know, I'm not sure. I saw where Cave Creek, Arizona is going to have a rodeo coming up here shortly, and the entries are way up there. Everybody's, looking for a place to go. All I see every day, it seems like I see more cancellations or postponements and stuff. So, it might be a mad dash here come August, September, October for all those guys. They may have more rodeos than they know what to do with in those months if this all clears up.
So they can only take their top 10 best rodeos, or how does that work? I mean, I know how it works for college finals, but is it similar for PRCA?
The PRCA has limits on how many rodeos you can go to. A lot of the events have different counts, so it depends on what event you're competing in and how many rodeos you can count to qualify for the NFR.
Okay. So I do have, I don't know how to say this name. Aline Bro says she's going to, it looks like a calf roper by the picture. Sorry. Going to Sul Ross in the fall, would love to try out, I assume for the rodeo team. How is that possible? Is that possible?
We actually do. We have quite a few walk-ons on the team. We let them come out. They can practice with us. We hold them to the same academic standards. We hold them to the same standards the rest of the students are. We expect just the same out of them at practice as far as helping out stuff. But we've had several walk-ons, and several of them do really well for us in the past.
Okay, so he just needs to, he
yeah,
can get a hold, well, I would say you can easily get a hold of him on this thread, or you can reach out to him on Facebook.
Yep.
Oh, apparently goat tying and barrels. Sorry, it's a little picture. I can't tell. My eyes are getting old.
We also have all kinds of fun gadgets for the kids. We've got a horse saver and steer saver. Our horse saver, we can use it for goat tying or steer wrestling. We have a juice hog bucking machine from up there in Sheridan, Wyoming. He makes some of the best bucking machines in the country. So we have a Heel-O-Matic. We have all kinds of stuff for kids that if they want to go out there and practice and rope the sled, if they want to go and get on the bucking machine, we have that available for them as well.
So that sounds really good. So I was corrected. It is a girl. Sorry. Tony, I think he's being funny. Well, he's always being funny.
Yeah.
Wants to know what the status of the CNFR SEAL Team 7 and who replaced your enforcer.
Joe Moody replaced my enforcer. We have a long-standing joke. Our time event and our crew down there is SEAL Team 7, and for the long time, Tony and I were the time event shoot bosses down at the college finals, and Joe Moody replaced Tony. So
that's funny.
So we went from a Californian to an Arizonan.
Ooh, that's tough. Oh, I have another question. NCAA football. Is there any football going on at Sul Ross?
We have Division III football down here. So we do have football. We had a really good basketball team this year. Our basketball team won the Western Division of our conference and did really well. And our rodeo kids did not get kicked out of a single basketball game this year. So that was good.
I feel like that's something for the books.
Yeah, they go there and they give the opposing team and the refs a hard time pretty much every game. It's all in good fun, but it's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, I bet. Let's see. I think that's about it. Oh, before I forget, scholarships. I know with a lot of the kids getting this year back, it can change what your scholarships look like for next year.
Mhm.
Do you have any scholarships available for next year? And then how would, if anybody's watching, how would they reach out to you and maybe get a little bit of that?
We do have a lot of scholarships available. A lot of our scholarships are set up through our foundation, so they actually
Okay.
have to apply through our website. You can go there and apply for the scholarships. And we have some that are set up for specific events. We have some that are set up for specific genders. We have some that are set up for students from certain states. So the best thing you can do is go on there and fill out the application and be as specific as possible and um, on your application, and you will qualify for scholarships. One of the things that I tell people, we do have rodeo scholarships as well. Um, I tell kids all the time, take your academics serious, because I can pretty much guarantee every school that you've talked to or will talk to, they will give out more in academic scholarships every year than they do rodeo scholarships. So if you come in with good grades, that's going to open a lot more doors for you as far as competing in college rodeo. Then all you have to do is maintain your grades while you're in college, and it'll open a lot of scholarship opportunities up for you, because every school that I've ever seen, every school that I've ever worked at, they have a lot more academic scholarships than they do rodeo scholarships. So if you can keep your grades up, that'll open a lot more doors for you right there.
So we've got a couple questions now. Um, we've got Sienna. I'm not even going to try to say her last name. I feel like I butcher it every time. She is really planning ahead. I'm currently an eighth grader. What is the best way to get on the radar to be on the Sul Ross rodeo team?
Reach out, send us an email, send me a message. My cell phone number is listed on our website. It's listed on collegerodeo.com. I have a lot of students that send me videos and stuff, and we start watching for them. When this all lifts, I plan on going to events to recruit again too. So, if I haven't been in your area, let me know. Hey, this is where I'm going to be competing at, and we might either try to send somebody down there if we've got a current student or a former student, or if we can make it there, we'll plan on trying to get there to see people. I just saw yesterday on Facebook where Texas High School Rodeo is actually going to go ahead with their state finals. So we're going to try to go to the Texas High School finals and recruit there as well, because, like you said, our recruiting options have been shut down this year.
Yeah.
A lot of kids make huge growth between their junior and senior year, even from their fall of their senior year to the spring of their senior year. And I think it's not fair to judge a lot of those kids by what they did their junior year or even their sophomore year, when a lot of them have put in a lot of hard work and made big improvements, and we don't get to see them. And it's one thing to see practice videos. It's one thing to to visit with them or do Zoom meetings with them, but it's another thing to get to see them actually compete. And I'm hoping this all breaks free where we can start to recruit normally again and see these kids. I'm sure with this virus and stuff, a lot of kids that haven't been able to go anywhere, they've been putting in a lot of work in the practice pen. And when it all breaks free, I think there's going to be some kids that really surprise people on how much they've improved. So at least that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got another question, and I'm going to kind of broaden it a little bit. A question specifically for recruiting girls, but I think you can speak to it for both men and women. When recruiting, are you looking for titles, school titles, or like high school rodeo titles, or she references NBHA? I mean, what are you looking for when you're recruiting kids?
I take a little bit different approach probably to recruiting. We want to recruit potential. There's some people that peak in high school. There's some people that peak in college. There's some people that peak in the pros. And we want to try to find people that we think we can help peak, that we can help get them to the level that they need to be at to be competitive. I think it takes, we want to have good students. We want to have, they've got to also be a good student athlete and be able to compete. But then we also want people that aren't going to embarrass our program or our school. So we want good citizens as well. So we try to fit that mold to who we're recruiting. Um, I've had a lot of kids. I've had kids that have made the college finals and done really well up there that never even made the high school finals,
Mhm.
but they had the potential to be really good. They were really good students. They were very coachable. So we took a chance on them and brought them into our program, and they did really well. I've also had students that had great titles and stuff that came in that didn't do very well because they had peaked in high school.
Mhm.
So I think there's kind of a balance there that we try to look for to find the best students that are going to fit into our program.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure. I know I didn't have a lot of titles when I started. I didn't peak till college. So I think looking for that potential and maybe coachability
mhm.
is pretty important. Looks like we've got a couple more questions on scholarship. Do we have any specific scholarships set aside for Canadians?
We not that I'm aware of.
Mhm.
A lot of times there are some international scholarships available. With our proximity to Mexico, a lot of those are geared more towards Mexico than Canada. But I've had a lot of Canadians on my teams in the past, and
Mhm.
uh, the biggest thing with the Canadians or any international student is you've got to be proactive because our cutoff day is June 1st for getting accepted into Sul Ross for an international student. So
Okay.
you can't wait until July or August to start getting accepted. You have to be doing that right now because come June 1st, they cut it off and we can't get any international students accepted. I've tried.
That's really good to know. So this is probably something you don't know the answer to, but is that pretty standard?
I think it varies from school to school.
Okay.
I've worked at community colleges where we could get Canadians in fairly easily,
Hmm.
and at the university, it's a little bit tougher because um, the SAT and ACT scores play a factor into it. If they're transferring in from another school, from a junior college, it's actually a lot easier to get them in. This year, it's going to be a little, I don't know how it's going to play out, but because of the COVID, they've waived the requirements for the ACT and SAT scores to get in this year,
Oh,
which is pretty huge because
yes.
um, that'll be a determining factor in a lot of kids being able to get into Sul Ross. We've had students in the past that, well, I didn't take my ACT score or I didn't take my ACT or SAT. We couldn't even look at them.
Hmm.
This year, where they've waived that, now granted, a lot of kids aren't going to be able to take it because of COVID, but they've waived that. So, if you haven't taken it, you can still apply and get into school this year.
That's really good to know. Karen Gibson asks, in your opinion, what part of rodeo is mental? Like how much of the game of rodeo is mental?
I think the higher the level you go to in rodeo, the the more mental it becomes.
Hmm.
I think high school, a lot of those kids are refining their skills, horsemanship, stuff like that. The college level, the talent starts to level out, and the students that are stronger mentally start to win more. And when you get to the professional level, the talent there's a lot of people with a lot of talent in the professional level, and the people that are mentally stronger and can compete well are the ones that win the most at the professional level. So I think it's kind of a tiered question. I think at the high school level, talent's going to win a lot more. College level, it starts to become more of a mental game. And the professional level, I think it's even there's a lot of people with amazing talent, and it becomes much more of a mental game at the professional level.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I would say once you get to a certain level, everybody can rope pretty good talent wise, but it's whether or not you can handle that pressure. That's a good point. And let's see, Casey Cunningham asks, how's the team looking for next year?
We should be fairly strong. We basically return everybody.
Right.
With what happened with the NRA, we're this is our finals week, so we're keeping our fingers crossed that everybody's doing well in the classroom, and from all of our indicators and doing our grade checks and everything, we should be good. But we return almost everybody, and we had a strong team this year. We actually had a girl from Wyoming that was on our team that she's been to the college finals a couple of times, and she hurt her back at our college rodeo, herniated 2 discs in her back, and sat out the year. And we were really kind of bummed about it because it was her graduate year, and we were going to lose her, and she gets to come back next year.
Yeah.
And our women's team, we had 2 girls qualify for the college finals this year. Granted, it was an abbreviated season, but
Right.
they're both very talented, and they'll both be back next year as well. So we're pretty excited. On the men's side, we've got Kai coming back, and we're hoping he makes the NFR. We've got Tristan Hutchins was actually our top men's point earner, and he'll be back. We've got a lot of talent back. We've got some really good steer wrestlers. We've got some good team ropers. We've got a good bronc rider. I had a couple bronc riders that came by and looked at the school this morning, so we're hoping maybe we can get a couple of them. We've got strong students in each event. What I really like about our team is we have really good leadership on our team. I have that's one of the things I probably recruit a lot too, is I want students that are good leaders, because we can function well as a team if we have good leaders. There's days I've talked to my dean. I can leave practice, be gone for 10 minutes and go back out there, and practice goes on just like I was in the arena, because they know what's expected. They know what we should do, how we should do it, when we should do it. And I give my students a lot of credit. I've recruited some of those students specifically for their leadership ability. So it makes a big difference in putting a good team together if you have good leaders.
Well, and kind of to tag along that, something that we talk about a lot in my day job is like, leadership doesn't mean you have a title. Like, you can be a leader and you can have authority and not have that title. And that's exactly where those kids are in this. I mean, they don't know it now, and I didn't know it then either, but when you're in those types of positions to lead a team of younger, even if they're lower classmen versus upperclassmen, it really teaches you a lot for later in life. So that's good. I'm happy to hear that. So we've got a couple more questions. Karen is asking questions more on the mental game. When you're in practice, do you help kids with their mental game? I mean, is there anything you can do to improve that part of their game?
We do all kinds of stuff in our practice and our team meetings for the mental game. One of the things, probably shouldn't share it, but one of the things we did this year, we did a concentration grid. It's basically a grid 10 wide by 10 high. It's got the numbers 1 through 100 on it. And we have the students go through and we call out a number like 33. And you have to mark off 33, 34, and get as high as you can in a minute's time. And the first time we do that, we do it in dead silence. And we give them 2 minutes to look at the grid before we start. You go as high as you can. The second time we do that, we have a little music going, a little bit of distractions, and we give them 2 minutes and they have to go, and we call out a different number and they have to mark them off in order. The third time we do it, we have music going loud. We sent out a text message to all the students, and they still get the 2 minutes to look at the grid. But what I thought was really interesting with that drill is my students that qualified to the college finals, or my top students, their scores hardly changed at all. They were able to put everything else aside. They still got 20, 25 numbers marked off. My students that have trouble focusing or have trouble competing, they dropped off 10, 20 numbers. Some of them only got 2 or 3 numbers in that same time period, because they can't handle the outside distractions. One of the other things we do is we have a lot of competitions in practice. We have Joe Beaver style matches in practice. We put up the barrier in practice and we have them do that. We try to make it as competitive as possible in practice, so that when they get to the rodeos, they're used to competing. They're used to having that pressure on them. I let some of my guys go and announce when we're having those matches and stuff, and they'll tell them, hey, this is how long you've got to be, and put the pressure on them and make them get used to that, because when you go to the rodeos, you're going to deal with that. And I think that really helps. And then we do a lot of we do a 3-ring binder when the kids start school, and we do a lot of goal setting, and we talk about mental toughness, developing it, having a plan to develop it, and then working on your weaknesses through it. Because some people handle it really well. I've got some students that, they have to be off by themselves and focus before they compete. I have others that if they're off by themselves focusing before they, if they're over there I know they're about to throw up and, stay away from them, or you got to go talk them off the ledge. So it kind of varies from student to student, but we try to figure out what works best for each student we have.
Yeah, that sounds great. Those are a lot of really good tools, I think. Oftentimes I feel like people assume if you haven't built those into your game by this stage, you probably can't get them built in. And I think those are some excellent ways to do it. And I really like that y'all announce the fast time, like you have to be this to take the lead. I think I don't hear it. We didn't hear it in this region until you get to the CNFR, when you got to be a 6 flat in the goat tying to come back in the short go. And if you're not used to hearing that, when you do hear it, it can totally zap your game.
We have a scoreboard in our indoor arena, and we put the times up on the scoreboard and stuff. So they,
Yeah.
they get done with their run and they're looking up there to see how fast they were, or how fast they needed, what they had to beat and stuff. And it gets competitive. We do some stuff like the goat tires. They do one, they call it 7.5 to stay alive. They have to tie a goat in 7.5 at a 100-foot regulation. If not, they have to do it in 9.5 on foot.
Oh,
yeah. And we do it as a whole team and stuff. And they come up with a lot of the stuff on their own. I'd like to take credit for it, but the kids come up with creative ways to be competitive. They've had matches on the Heel-O-Matic where you enter as a team, and if you don't have slick horns 2 feet, you're out. Last team to catch wins. And we've had to refuel the four-wheeler before, because they'll go for a long time. So then we have the four-wheeler drivers start doing some crazy stuff to make it a little tougher for them. But they find creative ways like that to make matches as well.
Great. So Katie Gibson says, that's an awesome aspect. I need to go visit soon. Would be nice to see the improvements. I believe that's the gal that said she graduated in 2008.
We've been doing a lot. Seth Warnock and a couple of my students, they're out here every week. Last summer, we put up 3,360 feet of 4-rail pipe fence for new stock pins. The school bought us a new Preferred arena for the outdoor arena, and hopefully by middle of June or so, we'll have it completed. We'll basically, it'll be a lot bigger arena, a lot nicer. We're doing it all in pipe fence as well. But we have all new buck and chutes. We're going to put 2 rope and chutes in it. We're going to basically have a calf lane on one side and a rope and chute in the middle and stuff. So it's definitely a big change down here. It's been long needed. So it's pretty exciting.
Very cool, man. That's great. So I ran out of questions on my sheet a long time ago. Is there anything else you want to add, or anything you want kids to know coming in?
Well, I think a couple of the other coaches have touched on it. Is every school's got a little bit different to offer. I'm not going to say Sul Ross is going to be the best fit for everybody, because it's not. And you need to go look at other schools, see what's going to be the best fit for you, because some students love going to the big schools. They like the big city environment, the bigger environment. Other students love being out here in West Texas. So go visit other schools. Have a lot of questions. A couple of years ago, I had a girl that came to look at school, and I asked her if she had any questions, and she pulled out a notebook and she had 11 pages of questions, and felt like I was getting interrogated, but she had some of the best questions I've ever had. I wish I would have made a copy of it, because she had a lot of great questions on the schools, on the programs, on financial aid. So do your research. It's a big decision when you go to school. And you need to make sure that when you make the decision to go to a school, it's either a 2 or 4-year commitment. And some places it can, if you go and get your master's, it can be a 6-year commitment if you go there. So make sure that it's a good fit for you, and that you're going to be happy there. One of the things I hear a lot is, oh, I got a better, I'm getting more scholarship money from this school. Well, a lot of times the best scholarship is not going to be the best opportunity.
Yeah.
I know a lot of great schools that have really good programs, that have really good coaches, that may not have as much scholarship money, and they can, but they're going to do you more good in the long run. Just because you're getting more money at a certain place doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the best fit for you.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you so much, CJ, for joining us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will say this is probably the most people we've had watch us live. We're up to 45 people at one point. So clearly you're doing something right, Coach. I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
sharing it out and getting us some more views here. Um, all right, one more comment before I sign
Okay.
off. Marvin Jennings says, this coach is one of the best. I've been around and has students that are great to work with. All respect to everyone. Great leadership, CJ, and great friend.
Thank you, Marvin. Appreciate it. Marvin
So
is
you'll have,
he's come and run our timed event shoot for me. He did it when I was in Odessa, and then he's run it for us down here as well. So Marvin, he's been to a lot of college rodeos.
that's awesome. And I think, I mean, that just speaks to the caliber of coach that you are, CJ. Honestly, I've worked with you at the CNFR for a long time, be it through
13
the
years.
openings. Yeah,
13 years.
be it the openings or coach of the year or whatever. So I would totally agree. Um, let's see. We still got people coming in. So I'm gonna sign off. I want to thank you so much for your time today, CJ.
Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it. And yeah, all you students go and check out a lot of schools and find what's going to be best for you. And thanks, Heidi.
Yep. So for you guys that are watching live, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you have questions when we wrap up, please comment here. I've tagged CJ in some of the posts, so you're more than welcome to message him. Take a look at the schools, take a look at some of the older videos that we did. We still have a handful of coaches that keep reaching out, and we're going to continue to do the interviews as long as there's a need. So Friday, we have coach at Montana State University joining us, Mr. Andy Bolich. Next week on Monday, I would suggest that everyone tune into this one. Miss Claudia Kelly is going to join us from the NIRA office. She's actually the membership director, and we're going to talk about eligibility. There's some quirks, especially now with this wonky time off. I want to make sure that everybody is on top of their eligibility and make sure y'all know where your applications are, all that good stuff. And then Wednesday, former NIRA coach Jed Moore is going to join us. He's going to talk to us about what kind of questions y'all should be asking to find a good place for you. And then next Friday is coach in Coalinga, California, West Hills Community College, Justin Hampton. So we've got a few more scheduled out after that. Again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in live. If you are rewatching this, I want to thank you for finding us on Facebook, and make sure you post your questions. CJ and I will be kind of watching out for any questions. And again, reach out if you want to hear from someone. If you're looking at a college and you want to hear from them on here, shoot me a message and I'll reach out to that coach and see if we can get them on here. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate your time and appreciate your time, CJ. You guys have a great week. Happy Wednesday.
Yep. See you guys later.